My name is Sarah, and I was 25 years old when I lost an entire night and woke up in a place I couldn't remember going to. I have no memory of how I got there, no memory of what happened. And to this day, I still don't know the full truth about that night. Before I get into what happened, if you have ever experienced missing time that you couldn't explain, drop a comment below. And if this story gives you chills, please like and subscribe because I have more stories just like this one. I want to start by saying that I have always been a careful person. I don't take unnecessary risks. I don't go out late at night alone. I lock my doors. I check my surroundings. I'm aware of my environment. I'm the kind of person who thinks things through before I do them. But on this particular night in October, I made a decision that would change everything. It was a Tuesday evening. The kind of evening that felt completely normal, completely ordinary. I had been at work all day. It was a regular day at the office. Nothing unusual happened. Nothing that should have given me any warning about what was to come. I left work at 5 o'clock. I drove home. I stopped at the grocery store to pick up some items for dinner. I got home at around 6:30. I unlocked my apartment and went inside. I was planning to have a quiet evening. I was planning to order some food, watch some television, go to bed early. But then my best friend Jessica called me. She said, "Hey Sarah, what are you doing tonight?" I said nothing much, just going to chill at home. "Why?" She said, "Well, I was thinking maybe I could come over. We haven't spent time together in forever. And I really need to talk to you about some stuff that's been going on with me." I said, "Sure, of course, come over. We can order pizza and hang out." She said, "Okay, awesome. I'll be there in like an hour. I just need to finish up some stuff at work and then I'll head over." I said, "Sounds good. I'll see you soon." And I hung up the phone. I was happy that Jessica was coming over. We had been friends since college. We had been through a lot together. But lately we hadn't been spending as much time together. Life gets busy. Work gets in the way. Time passes, and before you know it, months have gone by since you've really sat down and talked to your best friend. So I was looking forward to having her over. I changed out of my work clothes. I put on some comfortable sweatpants and a t-shirt. I tidied up the apartment a little bit. I made sure there was room on the couch for both of us to sit. An hour passed, then another hour. Jessica still wasn't here. I called her. She answered on the first ring. I said, "Hey, where are you? I thought you said you'd be here an hour ago." She said, "I know, I'm so sorry. Traffic was absolutely crazy, but I'm on my way now. I should be there in about 20 minutes. I said, "Okay, no problem. I'll just wait." She said, "Thanks for being so patient. And hey, I'm thinking about stopping at that convenience store near your place to grab some snacks. Do you want me to pick up anything specific?" I said, "Oh, sure. Can you grab some chocolate-covered pretzels? You know the ones I like." She said, "Yeah, of course, I'll get those. And maybe some soda." I said, "Perfect. Just hurry up, I'm getting hungry." She said, "I will, I promise. I'll be there soon." And she hung up. I sat back down on the couch. I turned on the television. I was flipping through channels when I heard a noise from outside my apartment. It sounded like footsteps. Heavy footsteps in the hallway outside my door. I thought nothing of it. There were other apartments around mine. People came and went all the time. It was probably just a neighbor. But then the footsteps stopped, right outside my door. I listened carefully. I didn't hear anything. No more footsteps, no sound at all. After a few seconds, the footsteps started again, and they moved away from my door. I shrugged it off. I went back to watching television. Another 30 minutes passed, still no Jessica. I called her again. This time she didn't answer right away. It rang several times before she picked up. Her voice sounded different when she answered. It sounded tense, stressed. I said, "Hey, are you almost here?" She said, "Yeah, I'm almost there. Actually, I'm just pulling into your complex right now." I said, "Awesome, come on up." She said, "Okay, I'm on my way up the stairs now." I said, "Great, I'll unlock the front door for you." She said, "Actually, no, don't unlock it. I have my key. I'll let myself in." I said, "Okay, suit yourself." There was a pause, a long pause, and then she said, "Sarah, I need to talk to you about something. It's important." I said, "Okay, we can talk when you get here. What's going on?" She said, "No, I mean, when I get there. We need to talk right away before anything else." I said, "Okay, you're kind of freaking me out. What is it?" She said, "Just when I get up there, lock the door behind me immediately." "Okay, as soon as I'm inside, lock it." I said, "Jessica, what is going on? You're scaring me." She said, "I'll explain when I get there. I'm on the 3rd floor now. I'll be there in just a second." And she hung up. I felt a knot forming in my stomach. Something was wrong. I could hear it in her voice. She was scared, genuinely scared. I went to the front door and unlocked it. I waited for her to knock, but the knock didn't come. I listened. I could hear footsteps in the hallway. Heavy footsteps. But they weren't getting closer to my door. They were going past my door. I waited. Still no knock. I called Jessica again. No answer. I called again. Still no answer. I was getting worried now. I was starting to think something bad had happened to her. I put on my shoes. I grabbed my phone and my keys. I decided to go out into the hallway and look for her. As soon as I opened my door, I saw her. She was standing at the end of the hallway. Her hands were shaking. Her face was pale. She looked absolutely terrified. I said, "Jessica, what happened? What's wrong?" She ran toward me. She practically pushed me back into the apartment. She said, "Lock the door. Lock it right now." I locked the door. She leaned against the wall. She was breathing heavily, like she had been running. I said, "Jessica, you have to tell me what's going on. What happened?" She said, "I don't even know where to start. I don't know if you're going to believe me." I said, "Just tell me. Whatever it is, just tell me." She said, "Okay." So for the past few days, I've been getting these calls from an unknown number. And at first I thought it was just spam. You know how you get those calls. But then I realized the person calling wasn't saying anything. They were just listening, just breathing on the other end of the line. I said, "Okay, that's creepy, but that happens sometimes." She said, "I know. That's what I thought." So I blocked the number. But then I got more calls from different numbers, all unknown, all the same thing, just breathing, just listening. I said, "Did you call the police?" She said, "No." I didn't think it was serious enough. But then today, when I was leaving work, I noticed a car, a dark sedan, parked across the street from my office. And when I started driving, the car followed me. I said maybe it was just a coincidence. She said that's what I thought. So I drove around for a while, took some random turns, and the car kept following me. No matter where I went, no matter what I did, it was following me. I said, "Did you call the police?" She said no. I didn't want to seem paranoid, so I just drove here. I drove straight to your place, and the whole time, that car was behind me, following me. I said, did it follow you to the building? She said, I don't know. I didn't see it when I pulled into the parking lot. But I was so focused on getting up here that I didn't really look. I said, okay. So what? So someone is following you. That's bad. That's really bad. But I don't understand why you seem so scared when you got to my door. She said, because when I was walking up the stairs, I heard someone coming up the stairs behind me, and I walked faster, and they walked faster, and I could hear them getting closer, and I was so scared that I just ran. I ran the rest of the way up here. I said, oh my God, did you see who it was? She said, no. When I turned around, there was no one there, just empty stairs. I felt cold. A chill ran down my spine. I said, Jessica, I think we should call the police right now. She said, yeah, I think you're right. I got my phone. I was about to dial 911, but then Jessica grabbed my arm. She said, wait, did you drink anything today? Any water? Any soda? Any coffee? Anything at all? I said, what? What do you mean? Yeah, of course I drank water. I drank a lot of water today. She said, from where? Where did you get the water? I said, from my apartment, from the tap. Why are you asking me this? She said, because I have this really bad feeling, and I don't want to scare you, but I need to ask. Did you notice anything strange about the water? Did it taste different? Did it smell different? I said no, it tasted fine, it was just water. She said, okay, good, but she still looked scared. She still looked like she knew something I didn't. I said, Jessica, what are you not telling me? She said, nothing, I'm paranoid. I'm sorry. Let's just call the police. I picked up my phone again. I was about to dial, but then I started feeling dizzy. The room was spinning. I felt nauseous. My vision was getting blurry. I said, Jessica, I don't feel good. I feel really dizzy all of a sudden. She said, sit down, sit on the couch. I sat down on the couch, but the dizziness didn't go away. It was getting worse. The room was spinning faster and faster. I said, what is happening to me? Jessica, what is wrong with me? She said, Sarah, stay with me, stay focused. Look at me, look at my eyes. I tried to focus on her face, but it was getting harder and harder to stay awake. She said, come on, stay with me, don't fall asleep. I said, I'm so tired. I don't know why, but I'm so tired. She said, I know you are, but just stay awake. Just for a little bit longer. But I couldn't. My eyelids were so heavy, it was like someone had put weights on them, like my entire body was being pulled down into the couch. I said, Jessica, I'm sorry, I can't stay awake. And then everything went black. When I opened my eyes, I didn't recognize where I was. I was lying on a bed that wasn't mine, in a room that I had never seen before. The walls were painted a light beige color. There was a small window with bars on it, a window that looked out onto an unfamiliar street. I sat up slowly. My head was pounding, my mouth was dry, my body felt heavy, like I had been sleeping for a long time. I looked around the room. There was a bed, a dresser, a mirror, a door. That was it. Nothing else. I went to the door and tried to open it. It was locked. I pounded on the door. I screamed, I yelled, but no one came. I went to the window. I looked outside. I didn't recognize the neighborhood. I didn't recognize any of the buildings. I didn't know where I was. My heart was racing. Panic was setting in. I had no idea how I got here. I had no memory of anything after sitting on my couch and feeling dizzy. Hours could have passed. Days could have passed. I had no way of knowing. I tried to think back. I tried to remember. But there was a blank space in my memory, a gap that I couldn't fill. How much time had passed? What happened to Jessica? Where was I? Why was I locked in this room? I went back to the door and pounded on it again. I screamed, I cried. I begged whoever was listening to let me out. But no one came. No one answered. And the fear was all-consuming. Because I didn't know where I was. I didn't know who had taken me. And I didn't know what was going to happen next. The only thing I knew for certain was that something terrible had happened to me. Something that I still don't fully understand. Something that I will never be able to forget. To this day, I still don't remember everything that happened that night. I still have gaps in my memory. I still wake up in cold sweats from nightmares about that room, that locked door, that window with bars on it. Jessica found me 3 days later. She called the police. They searched for me, and they found me in an apartment 2 buildings over from mine. The apartment belonged to a man named Derek, a man who lived alone, a man with no criminal record, a man who seemed completely normal on the surface. But Derek had been watching me for months. He had been planning this. He had put something in my water, something that made me dizzy, something that made me fall asleep. He confessed to the police. He told them that he had been following Jessica because he wanted to get to me. He said that he had seen me in the hallway of my apartment building one day and became obsessed with me. He said he wanted to know everything about me. He said he wanted to understand me. He said he wanted to have me all to himself. Derek was arrested. He was convicted. He is now serving time in prison. But even knowing that he is locked away, even knowing that he can't get to me anymore, I still don't feel completely safe. I still check my locks multiple times before bed. I still look over my shoulder when I'm walking down the street. I still have nightmares about that room, that locked door, that window with bars. And I still don't know everything that happened during those 3 days. There are gaps. There are missing pieces. There are things that I will probably never remember. But I remember the fear. I remember the helplessness. I remember the feeling of not knowing if I was ever going to get out of that room alive. And that is something that I will never forget. If you're watching this and you ever feel like someone is watching you, if you ever feel unsafe, if you ever notice someone following you, please call the police immediately. Don't wait. Don't hesitate. Just call. Because you never know who is out there. You never know what someone is capable of. You never know when your life could change in an instant. Trust your instincts, protect yourself, and never ever ignore your gut feeling that something is wrong. Because sometimes that feeling is the only thing standing between you and something terrible.